Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is November, and we're still here coming to you live from the Aragon Ballroom in Santa Monica, California, with the hypnosis show. The reason I'm thinking about Lawrence Welk in the ballroom is the bubble machine. Because I had a class of hypnotists this last weekend that are certified master trainers in the making, and guess what? We came up with a new technique, and I insisted that we had to discover an entirely new form of therapy, and they all got to give some great presentations about the details of it. But we discovered bubble therapy, and what a wonderful idea. A lot of it takes place with a bubble pipe, but some of it takes place just in those big vats of balls like they have at McDonald's and stuff like that, or some of it involves, blowing bubbles with bubble gum, and but trouble's a bubble, and bubbles will carry your troubles away. So it was a wonderful learning opportunity. And if any of you would like to register now for the bubble therapy training course that will be coming to you soon, just please let me know, and I'll give you an address that you can send money to, and it'll be great. So
Please do bubble therapy, and please, when you do, introduce it with Don Ho. You got to start
tiny
with the
bubbles.
tiny
That's
bubbles.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly. And bubble wrap, by the way, was also an
That
important
would be
part
good.
of
Oh,
it.
that would be
Some of you
wonderful. Yes.
probably experienced that before. Yeah. So there we are. What's been going on in your world, Karen? October in Chicago has been a busy month, yeah?
October was a very busy month. November's been pretty busy too. In October, I was so thrilled to be at the Mid America Hypnosis Conference and got to teach a couple of great classes and have lots of fun with some good friends and watched Dan Candell do a dynamic keynote address. I also got the Lifetime Achievement Award, which I was really, really thrilled about. And you know what that really says? It says I've been around a really long time.
Yeah.
And it's way better than the alternative. So that's a very cool thing.
I don't need to say you've been around a long time, Karen. It says you've been around a long time, and that's okay with people.
I guess that's probably right. I guess that's true. Thank you, Michael, for that reframe. I appreciate that. And that was the first lesson of the night, reframing a perspective. How's that? We just covertly stick those little things in every time every little bit where we can.
We've done several things already, and people don't even know it, but their unconscious mind is learning important things.
Quite aware. That's right. Uh, you've done some things in between. I just got back today from Virginia Beach. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But you've taught a couple of classes while I've been away.
Yeah, so the in between there was the board. First of all, the board. So no, no. So what was it? The stress management training was in October after our last meeting. So it's been a lot of stuff since our last meeting. That was in October. Then 2 weekends ago, I had live students for hypnotherapy class live in one place. Right in the same room and everything, so you can like shake them and stuff if they don't get things right, and it works out much better that way for learning. So there was that for 4 days, and then I came home and I breathed for a day, and then I did 5 days online for the CMT training that just finished up, and it was just such a lovely thing. It's so exciting to watch people sort of stepping up in the hypnosis community and just discovering how diverse and how wonderful our community is, because these are the best. There's nothing better, is there, to do for a living than to spend your time hanging out with people and sharing with them about a topic that they're actually interested in hearing about. I have an undergraduate degree in English, and I have a lot of friends who ended up teaching English 101. That freshman course that nobody wanted to take or nobody wanted to be there. So we are just so blessed, to be able to do the work that we do the way we do it.
That's
So
a fact.
yeah, so that's up to now. Tell us about
You were talking about diversity. And if for those of you who know me pretty well, I'm the limerick, right? I like to hit it and get it. Michael is the ritual poetic hypnotist in our group. And so I do a lot of analytical NLP type of training and work with my clients. But I had the great pleasure and the great honor to be the keynote speaker at the National Association of Transpersonal Hypnotherapists in Virginia Beach this past weekend. And I got to teach a workshop there on magic words and language patterns as well. And talk about diversity. 180 degrees again away from hit it and get it and analytical kind of stuff. This is very spiritual hypnosis. And it really opened my mind to a lot of areas. I talk about hypnosis as all BS, belief system. And boy, is that true, right? I opened my mind to some very diverse belief systems. And when we have, it's good for us to know this stuff, because when we have clients who come to us with this belief system, even if we don't have it, we should know about it and we should be able to work with it. And this is all about energy and connections. And it was lovely. And I want to show you something. I got an award from NAF as well. It was a keynote speaker. I was their keynote speaker, and so I got an outstanding keynote speech. But I want to show you, because isn't that a beautiful award?
It is a beautiful award.
It's just a lovely piece of art. So I just wanted to thank Linda Thunberg for that quite a bit. And we'll talk a little bit more about their diversity and some of the ways they reframe and look at things as we go through. I'm going to hope to bring some of that diversity right here to the virtual chapter in the coming year. So stay tuned.
Karen, I thought that diversity was a street in Chicago in my old neighborhood, but
very close. Yes.
So what's coming up? December 12th. So our next meeting here is the Christmas buffet for the virtual chapter.
We're very denominational. So actually it is the holiday buffet.
Oh, yes, of course. any holiday you want,
That's right. That's right.
Just pick one. But yes, it is our holiday buffet in the interest of political correctness. And it's always great fun. What we do, the reason we call it a buffet is that the first year that we did it, we thought, let's just set it up like courses at a dinner, and so what we had was an 8-course dinner with 8 speakers. And, each speaker got to do about 7 or 8 minutes, as I recall. The way that it's going to work out this time, I think that they're probably going to get about 5 minutes each, which will be quite interesting. We'll see if we can get the whole 12 days of Christmas. That would be lovely.
Do you know why we have to do 12?
I'm sorry, 12 days of Kwanzaa.
But you know why we have to do 12 speakers?
Huh?
The buffet will be on 12/12.
Oh my God.
Right.
There you go. So there is a transpersonal discovery.
That's a transpersonal experience right there. And it will be mesmerizing. Join us. Don't miss that.
Yeah. You have to remember that hypnosis started with magnets.
Sleep temples, depending.
Well, yeah. Yes, exactly. Okay, so anyway, that's going to be December 12th. And in January, just to make an early announcement about it, is the board certified hypnosis program. If any of you are IACT IMDHA people and you want to qualify as a board certified hypnotherapist, you should be able to find that information out on the website, or I'm sure you'll get something in your email or something about it, but it's coming up the 13th and 14th of January. Anything else on the
Elman Legacy Conference is in January, and January 20th-ish. Sean, do you know the dates right off the top of your head? Sort of toward the end of. You're muted. I'm sorry. What'd you say?
I said no, but I have it on my calendar here. January. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be 19 and 19, 20, 21. Yeah. No, 19 and 20 of January.
Okay, so that's coming up, and February will be the ICBCH conference. They're going to be in Orlando. Of course, we've got IACT coming up in May. Put that on your calendar for sure in Orlando.
Yeah, we're just about ready to announce the speakers and stuff for IACT. So anytime now, you can look for the details about the conference. It's going to be great. It is just going to be wonderful. All right, so that's all I've got for
moving into next year, so that's pretty cool. What do we have for tonight, right now, at this very moment?
Well, so at this very moment, because this is our November meeting, and we have time for a little feature. I think one of the topics that seems to be intriguing to me, really, and I've got to give you credit for this, Karen. I think you started me thinking about this. is thankfulness, gratitude. You know, you've been doing these sort of posts about the things that you're thankful about, or you know, that you're grateful for. And of course, that obviously is the theme of the month of Thanksgiving. So I was just really curious. I'll tell you where I'd like to go somewhere with this, but I'm wondering how many of you would be willing to use the chat room. We really can't, you know, talk through, you know, because I'm not really looking for stories, but to just write a word or two, and maybe several different, you know, entries if you want. But some of the things that you're thankful for. What does it mean, you know, when if you were to sit down and count your blessings, as they say, and think about what is it that I am thankful for. What are a couple of things you could write down? I'm going to watch the chat room. If you haven't opened it up, by the way, we didn't tell you about that. Open up the chat room and just put a couple of things in there. Now, what we have is either very slow typers or nobody that's thankful for nothing. But I think, oh, there we go. See, it comes. My home, my own bed, my whole, of course, Karen, and my family. Yep, and thankful for my community, life, for surviving stroke and cancer, improving health, sunny above average weather, transformation, clean water. Oh, there you go. Somebody from Michigan, no doubt. Having a roof above my head, my health, my grandkids, clients, health again. Excellent, excellent. Here's why this interests me. I mean, of course, it interests me because it's just great stuff, right? But when you actually take the time to become aware of the things that make you thankful, I think what happens is you start to develop a muscle, you know, that invites you to look for and notice and observe things that you do feel thankful for. Just as in the same way, I bet you all know somebody whose sorting strategy as they walk through the world trying to decide how they feel today is to see how many examples of things gone wrong they can possibly find. And they have a very different experience, don't they? So the more you look, it's really a lovely thing to notice. The more you look for reasons to be grateful, the more grateful you will become. And I think it's a habit that you can develop. One of the things that I really like about this idea, I love that it keeps going on in the chat room, and I appreciate that. One of the reasons that this is interesting to me is just this idea that when you think about the things that you're thankful for, let me just pick one of these. I'm going to be random. Well, in fact, I want to. I hope you don't mind me calling attention to you, Jennifer. But Jennifer Pett wrote, "My daughter being here with me," and then the very next thing that she wrote below that is unconditional love. And I love that you wrote that, because what I would have done if I had just seen the first part is I would have asked you, what is it about your daughter being there with you that you're thankful for? And I bet you would have come up with this next thing. Thing that I think is interesting is that when we look at what we're thankful for, it makes us aware of what our values are. It's an interesting thing. And just by asking that simple question, you know, I might say, well, I'm thankful for running water. Well, what is it about running water? You know, what's the particular value that indicates? You know, and for some people it's cleanliness. For some people it's well, it's water. It's hard to say. It's so elemental, but that basic, you know, we've got what we need and it's available to us, or it's refreshing, or whatever it is. It seems that whether you're one of those people that look for all the beautiful things in the world, or one of those people that notice all of the things that are wrong, in either case, either of those practices will serve the same, because what they will do is they will make you aware of your values. Values are things that we notice when they are satisfied. We go, oh, how nice this is. And they're things that we notice when they aren't satisfied. And the rest of the time, they sort of drift around in the background. But oddly enough, so many of the things that are important to us, so many of the things that we value are being, in fact, continually satisfied if we open our eyes to be aware of them and notice, what is it today? What is it today that I can recognize as lets me know that this is a wonderful world, and isn't it great to be here? So I didn't intend to preach a sermon.
Well, I would love to say on that issue, Michael, but the more you do that, the more you are able to pivot when you need that skill the most, to go looking for. You'll always get what you go looking for, right? And we played the color game in this group before, where you look for blue and find as much blue as you can find. And then you stop and you look for red and find as much red as you can find, and then other colors. And what you discover along the way with that game is, once you go looking for blue, you're going to see a lot of things that are blue. And as soon as you switch to start looking for red, you don't see the blue anymore. That's deep hypnosis. That's negative hallucination, because the blue is still there. You just don't see it anymore. But the red starts popping out at you because you set an intention to go look for that. It's a great way to learn that you can only focus on one thing at a time. So if you're focusing on what you're grateful for, it's not as easy to get all of that stuff that you don't want, or go looking for all that stuff that you don't want. And then gratitude, talking about transpersonal, gratitude goes one step beyond that. Once you start thinking about what you're grateful for, hardwood floors, as an example. I love my hardwood floors. Now, what did I have to do in my life to create a situation that I can have lovely hardwood floors in my home? Well, I must have done some things right along the way in life in order to find myself in this position of having heat and a comfortable place to sit. And wow, I've created a home for myself, and I've created a relationship for myself, and I must have done some things right in my life. Notice how that takes you up an incredible rabbit hole, instead of going down that rabbit hole that we sometimes find ourselves in. Right?
Yeah.
And it's a pivot. It starts with, what do I have right now that is okay, that I can be thankful for? I have a nice seat. So I'm not sitting cross-legged on the floor. Some people like it better like that. I just spent a weekend with Peter Blum. He would much prefer to do it that way, but he would be happy to have a nice even floor to sit on, right? That gratitude, whatever you have, is something to look at. Does that make sense?
That's lovely. Yeah. Virginia Satir said this thing about people having all the resources that they need, right, in order to be able to make the changes that they want to. I think one of those resources is simply the awareness, is that quality of consciousness that looks for and sees possibilities in the world. And that's a prerequisite, isn't it, to moving forward. So how nice. How nice.
By the way, it's a wonderful little homework thing that I give to some of my clients, especially people who are having trouble with various different things. It's a little piece of homework. Do a gratitude journal and then watch for the feedback. Because some people will go, oh, journal. Write it on your phone. Give yourself 5 minutes and a timer to think about it. Call yourself, do a TikTok video. It doesn't make any difference how you log it. Give yourself some time, or a journal, or a task. Do 3 things a morning, or 3 things at night. Some of my clients are assigned 3 things in the morning to start the day and 3 things at night to go to sleep at night. So they really have to double down on getting it. And some people are overachievers, so they'll do 5 things each time, or 5 things in the middle of the day, or 5 things throughout the day. However you do it, if you give yourself or your clients that assignment and become accountable to doing it, you'll find that actually you will start retraining your brain to get that positivity, or that good, happy feeling that you want.
Nice. Okay. Karen said earlier, by the way, that what you look for is what you'll find. So I'm going to start looking for really good chocolate from now on. I think that'll be really, truly worthwhile. I mean, I don't just mean slouch like because I want good chocolate, but it's about artistry. It's about, and that's
that you'll find that, right?
I know that I will. I know that I will.
It's the holiday season. If you go shopping, do this, play this game. When you pull into a parking lot, go looking for the spot that you want. If you want to park right up close to the shopping mall or the shopping center, go looking for the spot that's right up close. If you go looking for the spot that's closest, or go looking for the spot that you want, you will find it every time. Dennis is saying that that's not true. Dennis, argue with me right now. You've got 1 minute. Go. Argue with me, Dennis.
Honestly, there's lots of times I think I'm gonna go to the best spot and it's all filled up. Sorry.
Okay, are you looking for a parking lot that is all filled up, or are you looking for the best spot? Because if you're looking for the best spot, what the subconscious mind helps you notice is people walking away from the store, going toward the cars. It helps you take in the feedback that there are lights that are coming on. It gives you this extra radar to tune in on the things that you want. I don't know. Maybe I'm magical. Maybe I've got some kind of special energy, but boy, it works for me. It works for me all the time and not just the holidays. What?
Dennis, I want to make sure you understand something. You always do find the best parking spot. It's just that there's somebody else in it.
I usually get the best spot that I want.
That's right. And
Maybe I'm manifest. Maybe we need to talk to Victoria Gallagher about that, because maybe I'm manifesting these great parking spots.
there you go.
But I believe it's because I go looking for them.
Either that or you and Dennis are shopping at the same places, and so you get the place.
Leave earlier, Dennis. That's all I can say.
I'm always late, you know. I've had trouble with my volume. Is it better now, or was it okay before?
It's
We
a
can't
little
really hear you hardly.
Yeah. Something, I have to go every time and touch the little button on the slider, and then it's okay. And I don't even have to move it, just touch it. Oh, well.
Oh, well.
It needs that special touch.
It does. Yeah.
So it is getting to be time, pardon me, for us to move on. I think I'm talking over you, Dennis, and I didn't mean to do that. Okay. So in a few minutes, we're going to introduce our guest here, but I've got to tell you, Karen, I have been really working hard and inspired by Shawn Michael Andrews, honestly, because I saw his advertising somewhere and it said it's the world's fastest hypnotist. And I thought that's really something that we need. We need really fast hypnosis, not only just fast hypnosis, but really fast to be able to do an induction and a deepening, and then to give suggestions, and then create amnesia, and then bring the people back. And I can do that. You want it really fast too. You ready? You want to see it? You want to see it? Okay. Cool. Would you like to see it again? No, wait, and I'll bet you don't even remember me doing it, do you? Complete amnesia, just like that. And you're back in the room.
Yep.
So that's I'm going to market that. I think that's really an important thing.
Hands down the fastest, I'm going to say.
You've never seen hypnosis quite so quick as that.
Very, very well done, my friend. Very well done.
Well, so we have got a special guest, ladies and gentlemen, for you all tonight. Our friend Shawn Michael Andrews, and I really sincerely do call him a friend. He's one of those folks that Karen and I have both known for quite a while, and just always such a lovely human being and gentleman. And by the way, Shawn, I am remembering you from a few years ago when you were kind enough to be a guest speaker at a one-day meeting of the Hypnosis Education Association.
Oh, yeah, that was fun in Tampa. Yeah.
And 1 minute before the COVID shut everything down. And I really remember that at that meeting, you did a nice thing about something about coughing, right? And the ways to respond to, if you're coughing when you had because they were just barely telling us about it. We got to this meeting and we were high-fiving one another, and at the same time, or elbows rather than hugging, and at the same time, we didn't quite understand, I think, what was going on yet. So on the other hand, we were sort of chuckling about it. And what a difference, gosh, a couple of years makes. But to me, I mean, so that's just a personal thing, So love you, Shawn. It's great. We're so glad you're here. But to let everybody else know, Shawn is a certified hypnotist and a certified instructor of hypnosis. He is a graduate of Regents College. He's a master practitioner of neuro-linguistic programming, and has trained with both of the co-developers of NLP. He's the author of 2 books. He is the supervising instructor for the Dave Ellman Hypnosis Institute, and he is also a qualified nursing hypnosis instructor. Sean has taught in 19, count them, 19, oh my goodness, countries, and has I'm so sorry, Sean. I'm reading copy that has been truncated somehow. So it says he's taught in 19 countries and he has appeared
Oh, on television in 4 or 5 countries.
on television in 4 or 5 countries. Well, we're so glad that you're here with us, Sean, and we want to thank you for being around. You've been in this game for quite some while now, haven't you?
Actually, it's funny, Michael. I haven't been in this game for as long as most people think. I've actually I say I've only been a hypnotist for 18 years. Because before that I was into NLP and I thought I was a hypnotist, but I really wasn't.
Ah, so, and now, of course, you are a hypnotist, and a rather renowned one, and mostly renowned. I mean, I don't know if this is appropriate to say or not, but that business about the world's fastest hypnotist, I think really well known for rapid inductions and and that sort of stuff. And you've done so many great demonstrations and stuff at conferences and things. So when we were talking about this evening, you proposed this notion of dare I say killer presentations, but this notion about how to do presentations to attract an audience, and this is something I think will be really useful for everybody that's here. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to sort of back off and invite you to take the microphone and go for it. We'd love to hear what you have to share.
Well, Michael and Karen, thank you very much for inviting me. I really appreciate it. As I said earlier, I'm a little bit jet lagged, but I think it'll be okay.
Sure.
I'll just claim that my screen froze up. It's not that I just went brain dead. But anyway, all right. So killer presentations. The reason why this the reason why I'm jet lagged is because I just got back from presenting at the UK Hypnosis Conference in London. And I was talking with one of the other presenters, Rob de Groof from Belgium. And Rob and I were talking about, there aren't too many demonstrations in a lot of these presentations. Tell me if you can hear me fine, just raise your hand because I see freezing here and you can hear me. Okay. So the UK, every conference has its own flavor to it. And the UK Hypnosis Conference has a heck of a lot of academics, a lot of medical doctors, and it's a really good conference. They all have their qualities. But at any rate, Rob and I were talking and he brought it up. He said, you know what? I did a lot of demos in my presentation and I know you do. And he said, there weren't a lot of presentations and there were not. You didn't see much hypnotizing going on during that conference, maybe in the bar after classes, but not so much during the thing. And it's a shame because those are the talks that everybody wants to go and see. Everybody wants to go in and see inductions. They want to see phenomena. They want to see, they want to see that. And those are the best attended presentations, the ones that do demonstrations. So that's one reason why it's good to know how to do demonstrations. But another reason is that if you want to bring people into your office, the best way to do that, one of the best marketing things to do is to give presentations to groups. And now what most people do, and I'm thinking back to like 18 years ago, and Gerald Kine told me this. He said most people give a presentation in front of the Lions Club or the Kiwanis, and they say, hypnosis is very interesting, and it goes back to the days of the sleep temples or whatever, and this is the way it works, and please come and visit me at my office, and that's it. And that really doesn't bring them in. But when you can do demonstrations in front of these groups, people will flock in to see you. Now, just as an example, I'll tell you how I filled my office one summer. Traditionally, hypnosis practices are especially the ones that specialize in weight loss can be pretty dead during the summer, because when people have not lost the weight before swimsuit season, they say, I'll give it till fall. I'll start over again in the fall. So it could be kind of dead during the summer. So what I did was I started giving presentations at ladies' gyms, and it made my summer. I made more money that summer than I had ever made in my practice. And the reason was I was giving demonstrations. I was actually hypnotizing people at the ladies' gym and in front of their groups. And they were amazed. And the funny thing is, when someone sees somebody they know go into instant hypnosis, their brain goes through this. They think, okay, that was amazing. I know her. He must be really, or she must be really talented. And if they can put Mary into a trance like that, I know they can help me lose weight. Now, we all know that's not necessarily true, but that's what the potential customers think. And they flocked to my office. And then when I was getting results, they would go back to the gym, and the other ladies who were not losing weight would ask them, what happened with you? And they'd say, well, that hypnotist guy that gave the presentation ago, well, I went to him. And so it just rolled, and I got so much business. And when you give good presentations, in my case, what it was something called Curves for Women, which used to be a very big thing. At one point, they had 10,000 franchises around the world. And it was amazing. So I started in Maryland, and then Maryland told people in Virginia and Washington, D.C. and Pennsylvania. And so I was doing it in 4 states, if you consider Washington, D.C. a state. So anyway, I was traveling all around just giving these demonstrations at Curves for Women, and just clients were coming from 60, 70 miles away just to see me because they saw these great demonstrations. So that's the thing. I think that giving talks is the best way to bring clients in until you get your word of mouth going. And the way to supercharge it is to do demonstrations of instant hypnosis. Now, some of you are saying, I know what you're thinking, and you're thinking, well, yeah, instant inductions are kind of cool, but what if it doesn't work? Then I'm going to look like a fool. Well, you have to, I cheat. I set these things up so there is no way in the world that I could fail. I can't fail. And you can't either if you follow the steps that I'm going to give you. I've given demonstrations at, my gosh, I've been giving demonstrations for about 13, 14 years at hypnosis conferences. And sometimes I'm in a room with 100 people in there, which if you fail, that would be really embarrassing. But I've never failed. I have absolutely, a side note here, at the UK hypnosis conference, my talk was Lies Hypnotists Tell. Some hypnotists say, well, I've never failed to hypnotize somebody, or I make 7 figures, or my smoking, stop smoking, my stop smoking program is 100% effective. Lies hypnotists tell. Well, this is not a lie. When I've given demonstrations, I have never, ever failed. But
110% of the time.
That's right. But I've never failed in a demonstration, ever, because I'm sneaky. But it's not something that only I do. It's something that anybody in this room can do. And so I'm going to tell you, I don't keep secrets. Karen and Michael will tell you, I don't keep secrets. If I know something, I'm going to tell people about it. And if I learn something from you, I'm going to share that too. And unless it's something personal, but but I love to share. So here's one of the ways that I do it. I walk into the ladies' gym, and or it could be the Kiwanis or the Lions Club or the American Legion or something like that. And I get there early before I give my talk, and I meet the people. Hi, I'm Sean. I'm going to be giving the talk today, and I'll ask, I don't suppose you've ever been hypnotized before, and 95% of the time, and this I have checked because I always ask my clients, have you ever been hypnotized? And only 5% of the people that see me have ever been hypnotized before. So I'll ask them, yes, I suppose you've ever been hypnotized before. And generally they'll say no. And most of the ones that say yes will say something like, well, yeah, I did it for stop smoking, but I didn't feel like I got hypnotized. That's not somebody you want. What you want is a person that says something like, well, yeah, I was in a hypnosis show one time, and I don't really remember too much about it. That's gold. That person is it's a red flag. Hypnotize me. So anyway, so I take note of that. And so then I start my presentation, do my introduction, and I say, in the case of ladies' gyms, this works great. I say, I don't suppose any of you have any stress in your life, do you? And they laugh. They laugh at this stupid man who doesn't think that they have any stress in their life. And I let them laugh at me because what I'm doing is setting them up for the first thing. And that is, I say, well, I have a stress reduction exercise that I'd like to walk you through. If you'd like, it'll make you feel better. And I'll tell you, this is so relaxing. Actually, I've had people go into hypnosis before. That's my informed consent. Because what I'm going to do next is I'm going to do a Dave Ellman induction. I just am not going to use the word hypnosis while I'm doing it. And then I watch, and which ladies at the end of the induction have their head between their knees because they've gone into deep trance. Okay, right there, I filled out my dance card. I know exactly who I'm going to pick for my demonstration. And then I pick one of those ladies who had her head between her knees, and I have her come up and sit in the chair, and I do an instant induction on her. And does she go into hypnosis? Well, of course she does. It's simply a reinduction. She was in hypnosis a couple of minutes ago, and she's going to go back into hypnosis beautifully right away. So was there ever any chance that I could fail? No. So that's why I've never failed. That's just one trick that I use. Another trick that I use is turning the finger magnets suggestibility test into an induction. Everybody, I'm sure, here knows finger magnets, right? So squeeze your hands together nice and tight, nice and tight. Don't do it yet, but when I tell you to, I'm going to have you raise those fingers up in front of you and stare at the space between your fingertips. Okay, nice and tight. I've told them nice and tight twice, so they're going to be nice and white knuckled. 1, 2, 3, magnets. It's as if there are magnets in those fingertips, and they're going closer and closer. Okay, so I'm watching, and I did this actually in London a couple of days ago, and I just waited until about half of the room had touched, and then I said, and the interesting thing is sometimes they stick. Sometimes they stick and they get tighter and tighter and tighter. And in fact, the harder you try to pull them apart, the more they stick. And then I walk around the room and collect as many people as I want, because the people who are stuck, I'll walk up and I'll challenge them, and I'll say, try to pull them apart. Are you trying? And they're just, and those people with their fingers stuck, they are in trance. That is a hypnotic induction. They are in trance. So then I just gently push their hands down and say, sleep, listen to my voice. My voice takes you deeper. Walk to the next person. Sleep, listen to my voice. My voice takes you deeper. And this time I collected 4 ladies because I needed 4 for a demonstration. I could have had a dozen if I really wanted. And they just happened to be ladies. There's mostly ladies in that demonstration, in that talk. Anyway, so I collected the 4 best that I thought that I could get to. And then you go back and I got called out on this one time. I go back and I go to the first one and I say, the person I'm touching right now, open your eyes. And I'll smile at them and say, well, you look pretty relaxed. And they'll say, yeah. And I'll say, look, you don't have to do this, but I would really appreciate it if you would join me up at the front of the room. Would you do that for me? And I've only had one person in the years and years I've been doing this. One person said no because she had a back problem. She didn't want to get up on stage. So almost everyone will get up there. So one of my friends, I was doing this at the Canadian Hypnosis Conference near Toronto a few years ago. And one of my friends said, "You jerk." And I said, "What do you mean?" And she said, "That's really dirty." And I said, "What? No, that's not dirty." She said, "No, what you did afterwards." She said, "You walked up to a person who you just hypnotized and you said to her, 'You don't have to, but I would really appreciate,' you gave her a suggestion to join you on stage, a suggestion that she could not refuse because you talked to a hypnotized person and suggested she join you. That's pretty dirty." Well, I just do clean demonstrations. I don't embarrass anybody. So I don't know. I don't think it was dirty, but she's right because I didn't really think about it. I just, yeah, I wonder why nobody has ever refused to join me up at the front of the room. Well, that's why. So, yeah. So imagine that, hypnotized people taking suggestions. Amazing. So anyway, so I do that, and then I can do any instant induction that I want because during the whole demonstration, they're all reinductions of already hypnotized people. So that's why I can say without blushing at all, in giving demonstrations, I have never failed because I tricked them. I did it, but I don't hurt anybody and I don't embarrass anybody. So I can sleep at night after having done that. But yeah, and they love it. It's more entertaining for them when they see Sally go boom into instant hypnosis in front of the crowd. And they like to see that. They're entertained by that. And Sally doesn't mind going back into hypnosis either. So yeah, so that's how do I get on that? This is how to begin your killer demonstration is. So killer presentations. So I give a brief introduction to hypnosis, and then I do the stress reduction exercise with them. And then I invite a few of them up to join me in front of the room. I do some instant inductions, some suggestibility tests, like I'll do I test them on the Aaron scale. I'll lock their eyes shut. Okay, Aaron's 1. I make their arms stiff and rigid, and challenge them to bend their arm. And non-hypnotists think that's really wild. and then I'll stick their hands to the chair, and they think that's really cool. So that's what I consider Aaron's 3. And then when I get somebody really good, I'll just take away their name, and people think that's pretty cool too. And actually, I think that's pretty cool. I love the look on their face. so yeah, so that's kind of my demonstration. And then I set up the world's most powerful hypnotist trick. And the way that's done is I take my best person up on the stage or in the chair in the front of the room, and I condition them. So I point to them and say sleep, and they go in. I do that 3 or 4 times. I'm going to have you open your eyes, look at me. When I point to you and say sleep, your eyes close down, your head drops forward, and you go into a deep, pleasant hypnotic slumber, and it feels wonderful. If you understand that, nod your head. She nods her head. Okay, open your eyes, look at me, sleep. Boom, she goes in. Okay, we're going to do that again. It gets more powerful every time I do it. Open your eyes, look at me, sleep. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so she goes down 3 times, maybe 4 times. And then I say, then I switch it from a point in sleep to I joke about the hypnotic stare. I say, you've probably seen hypnosis on TV, and they always talk about the power of the hypnotist is in his gaze, the hypnotic gaze, and it's what puts people into trance. And I say, I've been working on my hypnotic stare, and it's getting really good. It's getting very powerful. And so just for today and just in this room, and only when I do it, when I look at you with my hypnotic gaze, it's as if I pointed to you and said sleep, and your eyes close down, your head drops forward, and you go deep into hypnosis. And then I'll add in, because this makes it more fun, I'll say, in the Western world, there's something we know as as polite eye contact. probably when you're a kid, your parents told you, well, when people talk to you, when the adults talk to you, look at them. Don't stare at your shoes. That's rude. So polite eye contact. And I say, because I've explained this to you, you will know the difference between polite eye contact and a hypnotic stare. And I say, so my polite eye contact doesn't do anything to you, but when it changes to a hypnotic stare, boom, in you go. If you understand this, nod your head. Right, good. Okay, open your eyes. And then I have a chat with them like, hi, do you live very far away from the gym? Or, do you have children? Things like that. And she talks to me, and then I go, and boom, into hypnosis she goes, right? Okay, so I do this a few times just to kind of condition it in. And then I send everybody back to their chairs. And then I finish my talk and I say, I thank you very much. I thank the host for inviting me to talk. And I say, you've been a wonderful, wonderful crowd. I really enjoyed being here with you. And by the way, anyone who calls my office, and they have my cards, anyone who calls my office this week to set up their appointment will get a 25% discount on their 4 weight loss sessions. So thank you very much for having me. And by the way, I just have time to demonstrate one more instant induction of hypnosis. And then I look at the lady that's back in her chair and I go, and boom, she goes down, and the crowd goes wild. So that's the way I give a demonstration. And it looks really, really cool. It looks like it'd be really hard to do, but it's not hard at all. Because you're doing these things to set it up so there's no way that you can fail. So, I mean, the only way you could fail is to have a stroke in the middle of your presentation. It's just too easy. So yeah, I've done so many of those things, and So, anybody questions?
Yeah,
Yes.
I just got one, and I love what you're sharing, Sean. It's great. So I'm going to ask a little more serious question than that. I hope you'll forgive me, because I think people are probably wondering, how do you get into a place like Curves?
That was interesting, Michael. It was really interesting. I had one that was about only a quarter of a mile from my house, maybe half a mile. And I called them up. And I've learned a lot about that business, which I don't even think they're still in business anymore. But anyway, they almost all had absentee owners. So almost all Curves had a manager. So I got in the habit of saying, may I please speak with the manager or the owner? And people who have businesses, they get these calls all the time by people that want to sell them a copier machine, or people that want to sell them this or that. And so they're, it's kind of a hard call to make. But anyway, so I asked for the manager or the owner, because I'm pretty sure it's going to be a manager because they're all absentee owners. And I say, my name is Sean Andrews, and I'm a hypnotist, and I have a talk on how to use the power of your subconscious mind to achieve your weight loss goals. Now, this is actually important. I'm glad you asked this, Michael, because what you don't want to give your talk on is how to use your subconscious mind to come, to force yourself to come into the gym, because they don't want that. Because if everybody who had a gym membership went to the gym, you wouldn't get in the door. So my talk was on use your subconscious mind to meet your weight loss goals. Okay, so that's good. It wasn't threatening. And Curves, and I imagine other gyms do the same thing, they always want to bring in new members. So what Curves used to do is, it used to be quite common for them to have guest speakers in the evening. And what they would do is, after the gym closed, they would set up some chairs, and they'd have some lady come in and talk about Longaberger baskets or makeup or things like that. And it was to bring, because the ladies who were in the gym, it wasn't really for them. It was for them to bring their friends in, and their friends could see the gym and possibly think about joining the gym. That's what it was. So that's why they like to have guest speakers. But it was almost always women. I mean, as a man, you walk into that place and you don't belong there. it just feels, it's all pink and it's like, ugh. It's like, you just feel like a man should not be in here and I felt really weird being in there, but I really wanted to get customers. So I went in and I talked with the girl, and thank God she didn't ask me how many of these have you done, because that was the first one. So anyway, so I did it exactly the way I've just described to you all, and they were wowed by it. And then she got onto their group, I don't know if it's a Facebook group or it was something else, and told all the other Curves businesses that they just had this super cool speaker, and then the invitations started rolling in. And yeah, it was and actually I did a talk at that one the next year because they invited me to come back. So yeah, that's how I did it. So you call
You're
them
right, Sean, about women's gyms will often do things like that. I worked with Curves too. As a matter of fact, they went through a period where they were partnering with other entities and bringing them in as guest speakers. And we partnered together. And so they sent people to me, and ostensibly I sent people, my weight loss people, I would recommend, hey, why not try Curves?
Exactly.
Good. We went through this whole partnering co-op phase, and they were really easy to get into. But there are other women's gyms, or Planet Fitness, or any of the gyms right now will do exactly the same thing.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm sure they would. Yeah. So yeah, so that was, I mean, God, I took so much money out of Curves for Women. but my ladies were losing weight, and the other ladies that weren't coming to me were not losing weight because they weren't working on the four things that work. They weren't working on exercise and drinking plenty of water and making the right food choices and controlling their portions. I mean, you do those four things, you're going to lose weight. But they weren't doing, honestly, it wasn't really that for women. I mean, it was, I hate to say it, but it was a lot like a social club, you know. So, but the ladies that came to see me were losing weight. So that's why I got so many clients from there.
I'm wondering if you're the thing that put Curves out of business.
Don't discount Weight Watchers, by the way. You can also sometimes partner with Weight Watchers because they have weekly meetings. They bring in speakers the same way. And if you can,
I didn't know that.
If you can offer a tip, trick, or technique that will help them with their goals, Weight Watchers is all about it, because Weight Watchers does want repeat business, but they want things that keep new people coming in.
Interesting. I wonder what would be the perfect topic to teach at a Weight Watchers. Would that be to exercise, or would it?
The number one secret to weight loss: drink more water, or whatever you determine. You can do the top four requirements, the top four easiest things to make the change.
Okay.
Reframe your perspective around body image.
Okay. All right. So the main thing is you want to, so don't have your topic be anything that would impact on Weight Watchers business. But I don't know what you could say that would impact on their business.
They want referrals, so they want people to have success. So if you can draw people into your talk and tell them the number one thing you need to do is have this water, because water flushes it out, or if that's whatever your number one top secret is, you know, if you start out with that, you can do it. Or if you teach them about chunking down, which is what Weight Watchers is all about, chunking down. Right?
That's great.
But anyway, brainstorm some ideas and they'll work with you.
Excellent. Yeah. So, but demonstrations, like I said in the beginning, even at hypnosis conferences, you don't see people doing many demonstrations. And so if you're one of those people that does do the demonstrations, you're going to fill your room. So, and as I said, you can do it. You can be sneaky about it. and nobody else knows that you've set it up. I mean, when I did this demo in London last weekend, somebody asked me, and I said, all right, so I have time for a couple of questions. And somebody said, well, how did you know how to pick? I thought it should be pretty clear what I just did. But I explained, because a lot of hypnotists don't realize how easy it is to get people just with this. They don't realize it. And oh, the way this will be good. Okay. I first decided to turn the finger magnets into an induction when I was teaching in Ottawa, probably, my gosh, must have been 15 years ago. I was teaching up in Ottawa, and I taught them how to do the finger magnets suggestibility test. And then I said, okay, so let's go to the next one. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to put your hands out in front of you like this. And I started to say, and turn the palm of your left hand up to the ceiling, right? But then I looked in the back, and there was this poor woman in the back, and she looked like this. She was stuck. Her fingers were stuck together, and she was in a trance, and she couldn't do anything. So I ran to the back of the room and pushed her hands down, and boom, she went into a trance. Well, she was already in a trance, but she just melted. And that was when I decided that, oh, I mean, I could do that accidentally. How could I do that by design? And by design is just say, and sometimes it sticks and it gets tighter and tighter. And so that was the genesis of the finger magnet induction for me. I mean, probably there's nothing new under the sun. Probably Franz Anton Mesmer used to do that one too, but that was when I discovered it. That reminds me of something else. Since my talk in London was on lies hypnotists tell, one of the lies was that stage hypnotists say is, I invented this skit, right? And they'll say, oh, well, this hot and cold skit, yeah, I invented this. And I'm pretty sure they were doing this in the sleep temples, But anyway, there is nothing new. I invent anything, but perhaps you could check me on this. You guys have been around a while. I think I did invent one thing, or I'm sure what underlies this, probably everybody's used this, but it's something that I just came up with. I'll give you this twist. Okay, when you're giving demonstrations or doing stage shows, it happens a lot in stage shows, but when you're doing demonstrations, if you're hypnotizing adults, sometimes they feel a little bit intimidated when they're up there seated next to children. So what stage hypnotists will often do is they'll tell them that you have to be 15, 16 years old or older in order to come up on stage, which is very disappointing for the children, because you've got 8 and 9-year-olds that they would really love to be up there, but they will intimidate the adults, and the adults are not going to perform as well. And I've used this at parties with adults and children. So what I tell them is, I say, for the children, please, you stay in the audience, because I have something special for you at the end of the show or at the end of the demonstration. And so I do the show or the demonstration, and then at the end of the demonstration, toward the end, when they are the deepest in trance they're going to be, we know that during a demonstration or during a show, they get deeper and deeper and deeper as the show goes on. That's why the doctors were so impressed by Dave Ellman. They said he gets a super deep trance. What they did not realize was Dave Ellman was fractionating people all during the show. And so naturally, they were deep in trance by the end of the show, but they didn't realize that was what he was doing. So anyway, so it's toward the end of the show or the demonstration, everybody's very deep. And then I tell them, now everybody sleep, and they're all head between their knees. And then I call the kids up to stand in front of the stage. And I say, kid, I train them. I say, what I want you to do when I count to 3, I want you to point and say sleep. So 1, 2, 3, sleep. 1, 2, 3, sleep. Get them doing it. Okay. So when I tell you to, you're going to do that. And I go back to the committee on stage and I say, in a moment, you're going to open your eyes. And when you do, you're going to look in front of you and you're going to see what looks to be some children. Oh, but they're not. They're in fact very powerful hypnotists. And they're going to point to you and say, sleep. And when they do, boom, you're going to go instantly into trance. Okay. All right. So people on stage, eyes open, looking ahead. And I say, kids, 1, 2, 3. And the kids all go, sleep. And the adults just go, boom, down. And the kids, they're amazed. They'll go to school on Monday and tell everybody that I hypnotized all those adults on stage. And I pointed to them and said, sleep. And they just went into hypnosis. And they're just, and I'm hoping that 20 years from now, those kids are going to be in my class, my certification class. So anyway, how did I get onto that? I don't know. Oh yeah. Inventing skits. Okay. So that little twist is my invention. And the way I came about that, what time are we on? What time we got?
We're good. It's 9:36. We've got 45 minutes yet.
All right. The way this came about was many years ago, I was over at the Ellman's house in North Carolina, and there was they invited all the neighbors over to get hypnotized. So I was hypnotizing all the neighbors, and there was this one young woman that came there with her son. He's about 8. And I set him up for that. His mom was a somnambulist. And so he would point to mom and say, sleep. And mom would go into trance. And he thought that was amazing. He loved it. I got him to do it about 4 or 5 times. So then about 20 minutes later, I see him pestering his mother and pulling on her jacket and saying, Mom, come on, I want to go home. And she said, okay. And they turned and went toward the door. And I looked at Cheryl Ellman and she looked at me and her eyes went like this. And it's like, oh my God, I didn't take away that suggestion. And this this movie just flashed in my head that they're driving home and Junior points to mom and says, sleep. And boom, mom goes into a telephone pole. So I called them back and I took it away. And, this is important. This is important. And I do this when I'm doing stage shows and I do it when I'm doing demonstrations. I say, after I say, when they point to you and say, sleep, it doesn't work. I say, and I want to make sure that it's not going to work. So from now on, if I point to you or if the boy points to you and says, sleep, all it's going to do is make it giggle. And so I open their eyes. Okay. And I say, go ahead and try it. And you point, and you go, sleep. And they just giggle. And it's like, okay, that's good. Now it's safe. Now they're not going to be driving into any telephone poles, but I do that when I'm giving a demonstration too, because it's just kind of fun, turn the sleep into just a giggle and just trigger that a few times and they'll just sitting there and giggling. And it's kind of cute. So, okay. So that's as close you're going to get to an original skit, because everything else has already been done. There's nothing new under the sun.
So they say. That's really lovely. And the thing with the first of all, I applaud you for your attention to ecology and and catching that at the door. I think that's really an important issue. It also occurs to me, by the way, children are who's going to, if they of course they've already been in hypnosis. You're right, it's been fractionation, and all that stuff. And added to that, who's going to refuse to go into trance when they're pointed at by a 6-year-old? In a special set of circumstances like that.
That's true too. Yeah.
How is that? Yeah. I'm interested in hearing any thoughts that you might have about where it is that I have my own ideas at least, but about where it is that people might find audiences to get in front of, because that really is the deal, isn't it? You had a great deal with curves. That's a lovely thing. And Karen mentioned Weight Watchers.
Mm-hmm.
There are other things like that. I came to Florida and I discovered when I actually came here was perfect, by the way, time-wise, because at that particular time, I was quite involved with the NLP community. Mm-hmm. And I noticed that in the NLP community, it certainly isn't this way today, but in the NLP community, people weren't learning how to do hypnosis. They were learning NLP, but they weren't learning how to do hypnosis. And I assisted as at a master practitioner training. And a bunch of folks in the class were like, "Oh, you do hypnosis? We'd really like to learn that." And I just told the guy who ran the institute, I said, "Look, I'm going to teach a hypnosis class soon. There's a whole bunch of folks here in your group that are interested in it. Would you like to be involved?" The best sales pitch I ever gave, man. It was,
And that's good, Michael. But in my experience with NLPers and hypnosis is a little different.
well, when I came, it was the other
they
way.
think
When I
they're
came here, they were all hypnotists who didn't know about NLP but were curious.
okay. But
So I
most
taught them.
NLPers, in my experience, they think they're hypnotists, but they really aren't. They come up with this. Well, we do what Erickson did, and we induce this light trancy state, and then we do our change work. But it's nothing like hypnosis, at least not hypnosis that I consider hypnosis. But I'm sorry, I interrupted you. But
Yeah.
go ahead, Michael.
That's great. That's fine. That's true. So, but my point is that there was a built-in audience. Because I had hypnosis and NLP. I was able to talk to the NLP people about doing hypnosis, and I was able to talk to the hypnosis people about learning neurolinguistic programming. And I think there's an audience for everybody. The other one for me here, strangely enough, was well, not strangely enough at all. We used to call them New Age. There was a time, but there was a New Age bookstore, that had like a singles group and stuff that met every week, and they were always looking for speakers and stuff. Gosh, I got so many clients and referrals out of that, just out of that one gig alone. So I know that they're out there.
It's certainly
Chambers of
a new age.
Commerce.
Sorry, what?
Chambers of Commerce.
Oh, okay.
Do a little talk for a Chamber of Commerce on improving confidence or speaking ability or presentations.
Oh, I agree. I've done them too. They are very good. But getting back to what Michael said, a new age store. I mean, you also have got high grade ore as far as highly hypnotizable people, because people who have an interest in that sort of thing tend to be highly hypnotizable. But okay, so and as Karen said, Chamber of Commerce, any kind of service club, Lions Club, Kiwanis, or an American Legion or something like that. Those because they like, especially with the standard service clubs, they like to have guest speakers. As a matter of fact, many of them try to have a guest speaker every month at least, sometimes every week. And that's hard. It's hard to get good, entertaining speakers to present to your group. And there is nothing cooler than hypnosis. They've got plenty of insurance agents that would love to come in and give them a talk, or financial advisors. But that is,
you're the most interesting person in the room for sure.
You are, as a hypnotist, you are the most interesting person in the room. You are the cool kids. I don't know about you guys, but I can tell you, I was not one of the cool kids. I bet Karen was a cool kid.
Well, I don't know. But, Sean had a brilliant built-in way of attracting clients doing stage shows, because stage hypnotists, produce a lot of talk. And he did a lot of prom nights and things like that, I'll bet, right, Sean?
One or two.
Don't discount high schools. Imagine what might happen if you called the local psychology teacher at the high school and offered to come in and talk to her or his psychology students about this weird stuff called hypnosis.
I've done that. I've gone to high schools and colleges, and I've found psychology teachers that were more than willing to have you come in. But in my experience, your mileage may vary. In my experience, I didn't get clients. High schoolers and college students, they don't have any money. And actually, at that age, the parents make those sorts of decisions. Now, on the other hand, people will say, well, we will always spend money on our children. But the people that would spend the money on the children weren't in the room when I was giving my demonstration. So I got very few clients.
But if you talk to that audience and talk about, but hypnosis is excellent for test taking. If you have trouble taking tests, hypnosis can really help. Those kids go home and tell that to their parents, and their parents pay for it.
Well, that was my plan, Karen, but it didn't work.
It didn't work.
No, I didn't get any work out of it.
No, also in fairness, I often spoke at private schools. It was much easier to get into the parochial schools or private schools than
Okay.
Chicago public schools. So I was
Mhm.
talking to a little higher economic bracket anyway,
It,
perhaps.
it could just be my luck of the draw. I mean, my friend Jason used to do it at what did he was doing it at BNI's,
Right.
business, and he tended to get quite a few clients out of it. And when I did it at BNI's, I really didn't get much out of it. So it could be just the luck of the draw, or but but yeah, I mean, it seems to me that it would be good. You would get clients out of the colleges or the schools. Personally, I didn't. I made all my money from Curves for Women, but yeah, check it out because it could be just me that I didn't get clients there.
Those women wanted private time with that hunky hypnotist.
Yeah, but I was there.
That was a secret, overt suggestion that you gave them.
Oh yeah. Oh, who is it? Who is it? Oh, the other uh my last talk at a hypnosis conference, I was talking about um have you ever heard somebody say military people tend to be highly hypnotizable? Has anybody ever heard that? Yeah, it's not true. So I went digging to try and find out where that myth came from. And here is what I found. In the late 1800s, there was a German, was she Duchess or no, Countess. There was a German Countess in the late 1800s, and she was seduced by this Eastern European hypnotist. And nobody could figure out why, because the guy was, he's a hypnotist. He's short. He's not very attractive. He's kind of dumpy looking. And then I looked down. I went, "Oh, this is a little too close to home." But anyway, she's seduced by this Eastern European hypnotist, and he bilked her out of some money. And so they put him on trial. There is going to be a point to this. They put him on trial. And one of the expert witnesses was a psychiatrist by the name of I think it was Wilhelm Hurt, Dr. Wilhelm Hurt. And he was talking about hypnosis and what you could do and what you couldn't do. And he just made this offhand comment about highly hypnotizable people. And he said, for instance, military people are highly hypnotizable. And that was the first instance I could find of somebody saying this truism that military people were highly hypnotizable. I mean, I was in the military, and I mean, they said they're highly hypnotizable because they follow orders. And I was in the military, and I wasn't really good at following orders, and I knew a lot of other guys that weren't either. And I'm not highly hypnotizable, and a lot of them weren't either. I've worked with a lot of military people. Some of them are good, some of them are bad, and it's just so anyway. But that may be the origin of that truism that military people are highly hypnotizable.
Now, on the other hand, New Agers.
Oh, you just look at them and
And seriously, it really is because they have a willingness to explore alternative experiences in the first place. They're simply open to the idea. I always joke about our trip to Brazil that you've probably heard Cheryl talk about a bunch of times. We had a lovely time in Brazil, and I had just spent some time in New York right before this trip to Brazil. Well, in New York, if you say to a potential hypnotic subject, I'd like you to take a breath and close your eyes, they will say, "Well, do I have to close my eyes? Will it work if I keep my eyes open? Why do my eyes need to be closed? Do I really have to close my eyes?" And in Brazil, if you say, "What I'd like you to do is to close your eyes," they go,
yeah.
simply because they have the cultural references or a greater willingness, I think, to do that. I don't want to. I hope I'm not making inappropriate generalizations, but that really was my experience, and the quality of the audience is that.
I found the Brazilians to be more highly hypnotizable than, say, Northern Europeans. I mean, and well, didn't Esdale discover that Northern Europeans were not as highly hypnotizable as people from the Indian subcontinent, where he was working? He was doing his mesmerism, and they were going into trance, and they were sawing off legs and doing all sorts of stuff. And and then he goes back to the UK and starts working with Elliotson, and it's kind of hard to get these people into trance because Northern Europeans are not as hypnotizable as people from the Indian subcontinent. So yeah, I mean, ethnic. And okay, so here's one: is that cultural, or is it genetic? I don't know. Oh, wait, you know what? You know Frederick Ma?
Yeah.
Now, okay, he's a real good guy. He's a counselor, a licensed
Yeah,
counselor.
yeah, Frederick. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Sure.
Frederick. Anyway, Frederick mentioned something in his talk the other day, and it was that they've actually found a genetic marker for high hypnotizability. Now, I knew that they had a genetic marker for placebo, which the drug companies were extremely excited about, because if you're doing a drug trial and you could tell who was susceptible to placebo, you just exclude those people with a genetic test so they don't mess up your results. But and it may be the same genetic marker. I didn't get a chance to nail that down, but yeah. So there's that. Now, do people from the Indian subcontinent and Brazil, do they have the same genetic marker? I don't know. Or is it cultural?
Yeah.
Don't know. But
Add to
go ahead. Got a
Just-
question here from
Russia.
Just because I'm of Indian origin, I spent a lot of more than 20 years in the country as well as the US. So definitely I would say that not sure about genetics, but definitely there is a huge cultural element, because one of the traditions wherever you are in India, where it's north, south, east, west, there's always a culture of visiting a temple and staying in that environment to literally have like a battery recharge where you're sort of like you're supposed to go into a trance, right?
Okay.
Like right from grandparents to parents or kids every time that. So I would definitely say there is something that's built into that culture where
Okay.
easier for them to probably get into a trance.
Interesting. Okay. Very, very good. So and I wouldn't disagree with that at all. So we got the cultural component, and there may also possibly be a genetic component.
There's a suggestibility quotient to it too. And when you talked about military people, right? And saying, well, everybody knows that military people are the most highly hypnotizable people there are. You might have 95% of your military folks hearing that go, that's BS. You don't care. You care about the 5% who go, really? I want to go see the hypnotist, and then they're already hypnotizable because they accepted that suggestion.
Exactly. It's good to set up the expectation. Like for instance,
and if they take that suggestion, then that suggestion is true for them, or that factoid is true for them.
Yeah. I always, I mean, why do we say that's right so often when we're doing the induction? We want people to think, okay, you're doing the right thing. And we want them to continue and believe that they're going to go into a trance. And when they have that belief that they're going to go into a trance, they're far more likely to go into that trance. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, you know what, Michael, you made me think about, I can't remember. Karen will probably remember a fellow who used to go to the Mid-America all the time. Little guy, reminded me of George Burns.
Oh gosh,
Ernie
Yes,
Teilmeyer. Okay, did you ever see or hear about his psychic induction?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, he would walk in front of the audience, and like this is along the lines of, why do new age people, why are they highly hypnotizable? So he said, I've been working on a psychic induction, and let's see who this works for. He said, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn away from you, and I'm going to think. I'm simply going to think sleep. Okay. And so he starts to do it, and they start dropping in the audience. He hadn't started yet.
That's right. Yeah.
So the psychic induction, he was just going to think sleep, and the people with psychic ability, he said, if you have psychic ability, this is going to be very powerful for you. And all he had to do was to start, and they started dropping.
A lot of
love it.
people at that conference want to have psychic ability and want to prove to themselves and everybody else that they have it. That's great
Exactly.
leverage for transformation, is it not?
Exactly. Oh, I just love that story.
Those of you who are especially psychic will start singing like Elvis Presley any moment now.
That now
Ain't
that I would like to see.
That's lovely. So, well, listen, we're down to our last 5 minutes already. How time flies when you're having fun with great people, and we love what you're sharing with us, Sean. I just want to give a chance to somebody besides Karen and I to ask if anybody has any questions. Now is a shot for one more time to ask Sean Michael Andrews. Hey, Sean Michael, what's up? Going once. They're all in a trance, I think.
Here we go. Jen has one.
Oh, there you go. Yes, Jen.
So I know that Sean works with people to help them find lost things and lost things that they've lost. And so I was wondering if you give us a trick or a little something about how do you do that? So somebody's come into you and they've lost their wedding ring or something like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, it's basically an age regression, and we go back. We hypnotize and deepen, and we go back to the last time they had this thing. It tends to be jewelry. It tends to be women who have gone on vacation and they have hidden their jewelry somewhere where no one will ever find it. And it's true. So anyway, they do that. And so we do an age regression to right before they left on vacation. And then I walk them through, feel it in your hand, which room are you in, that sort of thing. And I just walk them through when they put it away. And if we're lucky, we can come up with where they hid it. Now, quite honestly, I'm only about 50% accurate. I mean, we only find it about half the time. It's hard, because age regressions for something where I want them to relive the moment, you really need a good deep trance for that. Now, if you want to see an example, let me see. Let me call it up. I'm gonna see if I can call it up because I've got a YouTube video of me doing a successful find objects. Let me see if I can call it real quick. And if I can't get it real quick, what I'll do is I'll send it to Michael and Karen, and they can send it out to you guys. Let me go to YouTube Studio real quick, and then I'm going to go to content, and then I'll type in lost.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can get it. And there it is. Okay, let me get here we go. Got wow. I love. Isn't that technology cool? All right, so I've got the link right here. I'll copy it and I'll put it in the chat, and then everybody can use it. There it is. Okay, here's the chat. Paste. There you go. Okay, so that is a YouTube video of me doing a successful regression to find a lost object, and so it lasts about 18 minutes or something.
Yes. Do you also do regression to find keys?
Oh, wait, it's playing. I don't want it to play.
I clicked on the link. Sorry, and I didn't have.
Okay.
It's all my fault.
I thought I did that, Karen.
And,
Okay.
we will post the video itself in the Facebook group as well. So anybody's looking for it, you can find it there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. And as a matter of fact, weirdly, I just looked at that video, Sean, I think about 2 weeks ago.
Oh.
So yeah, so I know exactly what you're talking about. Great, good stuff. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, moms and dads, it is that time when we have to say our goodbyes. But Thanksgiving is coming, so remember, be thankful, and remember that trouble is a bubble. And Sean, thank you so much for what you shared with us tonight. We really appreciate you being here.
It's always great
Started
spending
with
time with you.
gratitude, and we're grateful for you, Sean Michael. Thank you very much.
Well,
See you
thank
all in a
thank
month
you.
for the holiday festivities right here at the virtual.
Open your mics and let's give him the big cacophony of a send-off.
Why not? Everybody,
Thank you,
mics open. Good night, Sean Michael. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.